Hello, Floss Tube friends. Welcome to another fabulous fun Friday finishing day. I'm going to finish several things today, and I'm going to start off with a few things that I use, and then I'm going to let you in on how I finish things frugally. So it could really be called Fabulous Fun Friday Frugal Finishes. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so some of the tools I use. I always have this on when I'm finishing. This is my glue gun. I don't know if they still make them. I've had it for 30 years. This is a little iron I use. It's by Dritz. There's the little name. And I use this in quilting and all kinds of things. It gets very, very hot. So be prepared. I have burned myself, so I'm very careful around it. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to finish today. This is Chrissy at Finally a Farm Girl. This is Matilda Sews. There she is. I'm going to finish her, and I found some great fabric in my stash. Have no idea what the name of it is, but I think I'm going to make a little pillow with her, and I'm going to use this fabric, and I think that looks really cute with her because it sort of brings out all the different colors. Look at that little mouse. Look. And I'm also going to use some buttons that I'll show you in a minute. I'm also going to finish my last letter for my wreath swap, or Home is Where the Wreath Is, by Stitching with the Housewives. I finished my M. I'm going to do my M today. And on my last video, I showed you doing I think one of the letter O's in the wreath swap, but I'm going to show it again because maybe people just don't know. And I'm doing something different in the wreath swap. Here's the letter O that I'm going to finish today. Finally finish. And most people made one of these backgrounds, and then they're gluing this on with gluing this on with magnets to this background. But what I'm doing is I'm making 12 different ones of these because I want to be able to put the other ones in different places in my home when they're not attached to the O part of the HOME. You'll understand more later. I'm also finishing something that I promised to finish last time, but it took me so long to do the other finishes that I didn't get to this one. So on my last Fabulous Fun Friday finish, I said I was going to put one of my smalls on this that I got at the dollar store for $7. And that is Pumpkin Patch Tier Tray Tidbits. And I'm going to put that on this. So those are some finishes that I'm going to show you today. So I better get Biddy. Biddy? What is wrong with me? I just got home from school. I'm a full-time teacher. By the way, I live in Central Florida. I'm a full-time teacher. And I just got home from school, and it was not a good day at school. You know, you have your good days, you have your bad days. This is a very bad day. That's okay. So this is my relaxing thing, to come in my craft room, just get away, come in my classroom, clap. Can you tell it was one of those days? Come in my craft room and just craft away for 2 or 3 hours. It makes me very happy. So I had this in my stash. It was from a, let's see, Fat Quarters shop. It was a box of the month program that I used to be in. And I thought it went really well with this. The colors are great. They match. So I'm going to sort of frame this with this and show you that process. And let's get started. For my first finish, I'm going to frame the pumpkin patch. And I use friction pins because the color goes away with heat. And I'm going to draw a line around this where I'm going to sew this border. So I'm going to draw the line, and what I do when I draw the line is, you know, in cross stitching, you know where the I'm going to draw a line across a whole row of stitches. And if you cross stitch, you know what I mean, a whole straight row. And I'm going to draw that all around it with a ruler, and then I'll show you my line that I drew. And then I'm going to go back and I'll film this. I'm going to put this right sides together, long side down, pretend like my line maybe, let's pretend like I drew a line right there. This is wrong sides together. I'm going to sew all the way across the top, all the way across the bottom, and I'll come back to you and show you that, and then I'll do the sides, and it'll be real pretty. I've marked off with heat erasable pen, which really doesn't matter because you're going to sew on it, on my pumpkin patch piece. And I'm going to put right sides together and leave a little tail. And I'm just going to sew right down there, 1/4 inch in. I have a Juki sewing machine, and when I'm sewing pieces like this, I usually set my stitch length on 2.0, which is small, to make sure that it doesn't come out. So I'm just going to put the edge of my presser foot on the edge of the fabric. Keep the fabric lined up with the line that I drew, and I'm not pulling any fabric. I'm not pulling fabric. It's going way too slow. That's because it is set on turtle, because I have my grandchildren over here and I unplug everything when I'm gone, and they like to push all the buttons. So they pushed all the buttons and slowed it down. It has a turtle setting and a hare setting. Now I'm on the hare setting. Okay, so there's that piece. I'm going to iron it. I'm going to sew the other side, cut it off, and then I'll show you the next step, okay? Back. I sewed this edge on, sewed this edge on, trimmed both of these sides and left about a 5/8 inch or 1/2 inch allowance. I went ahead and marked with the erasable marker, heat erasable marker. And now I'm going to do the top and the bottom. And all I'm going to do is put right sides together, leave a little to spare on the ends. I'm going to line it right up with the lines I drew. And then I'll have the top and the bottom. Doesn't take very long. Be right back. Finish sewing that. Oop, there's a thread. So this is what it looks like. But you need to understand, this much is not going to show. Probably half of that is going to show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, I'm going to fold it down, and I'm going to cut this down to a 1/4 inch because this is kind of bulky. Cut it down to a 1/4 inch all the way around. Make sure I have about a 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to attach it to a foam board. So here's what you do next. After you've sewn on your pieces, I folded them over and ironed them down where I had a crease like this. So, and then I measured from here to here, from the crease to the crease, and from here to here, so I would know how big to cut my foam board. Cut my foam board, in this case it was 5.5 by 6.5, and then I cut a piece of batting, and it's shredding a little bit, but that doesn't matter. I cut a piece of batting, I glued it, I hot glued it on the top. Some people just put regular glue, like Eileen's glue or whatever. Glued it on the top. Now I'm going to take my piece and I'm going to batting side, back side, like this. I have batting everywhere. And I'm going to fold it over and glue it. Now when I glue this, I'm going to fold my corners down like this and then fold these parts in like that to hot glue it, so it'll make a pretty corner. And I'll show you how that looks in just a minute, okay? When I hot glue it on the back, I put 1, 2, I think I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 glue things first. So what I do first is I glue 1 dot there, 1 dot there, 1 dot there, 1 dot there, 1 dot on each of the corners. Okay, and then I'll look at the front and make sure everything is even. I'll rip it apart if I don't like it. And then now I'm going to fold down all the other parts and glue them down. So there's my 8 glue spots first, and then I'm going to go glue the rest. Okay, I finished gluing everything right here. It looks good to me. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to measure quite carefully. And I'm going to put this on my little pumpkin right here. Now, some people might paint this orange. I like the natural wood, and I like how the Aida cloth that IT dyed and coffee dyed looks very similar to this. This was regular white Aida that I messed with. Well, I finished. I got a wire ribbon that I had from probably either Walmart or Hobby Lobby, and I just made a bow out of it. So I just made this bow. It took me like, 20 seconds. And I hot glued it on here, and I really don't want to add any more bling. I like the rough wood. And the neat thing about this pumpkin is that it will stand. It has a little bitty shelfy thing right here. So it will stand alone. And I like it like that. I don't think it needs anything else. So there you go. There you go. And now on to my next Fabulous Fun Friday finish. Okay? Hang on, I'll show you. So I showed you earlier that I wanted to finish Matilda Sews. This is Matilda Mouse by Chrissy at Finally Farm Girl. And so here's what I've done. The piece was about that big, a little more on the top, a little more on the bottom. And I looked and looked and looked and figured, okay, what size pillow do I want? And I kind of want a pillow. I don't know how long I want it, but you always want to cut more than you need to cut. And I had this ribbon from Goodwill. And so I baste stitched it. It's a very long stitch that you can use with your sewing machine to just hold it in place so I could see what it looked like. So I like this. And then I cut the back piece. Notice I haven't cut everything off of her because, when you cut, you cut. So you got to be careful. So you keep as much as you can, as long as you can, until you're sure what you want. So I cut a back piece. And this is the second piece I cut. The first piece I cut earlier today, I don't know where it is, but it was like, it was this. I sewed this piece on first. And even though it's blue, it doesn't have any of the pink in it that I really wanted. So I sewed a different piece on. I took that piece off. I sewed this piece on, and I like this piece better because it has more red and more pink, because there's red there and there's pink in there and there's blue. So I like that better. So now I cut the back. Here's the back. I haven't ironed it yet. And so I'm going to put right sides together. And what I'm first going to do, I got to cut a bigger back. No, I don't, because I know I don't want it that big. But anyway, I cut it back the same size. I'm going to sew it across the top. And then I'm going to decide like how small I want this pillow. I think I'll probably go down pretty far. I think I want this pillow to be pretty narrow, like that across the top, and maybe that across the bottom. So it'll be kind of a narrow little pillow, okay? But I want to do it a little at a time because I don't want to cut off and then be mad about cutting off too much. Now this that I basted on here, I will probably put some fabric glue to glue this down because this is black and white ribbon and it is really hard to attach that with thread because you'll see the thread. So I'm going to take that off and probably put some fabric glue. The reason why I don't want to put hot glue is because hot glue is kind of bumpy and you can kind of feel it unless you push it all down at once. So I'm probably going to use some fabric glue. I usually use Eileen's fabric glue. So I'm going to sew the top part on and see how far I need to go till I like it. But I have a feeling that I want to go about right there for the top, and probably right there for the bottom, and have me a little skinny pillow. I don't know how far out this way I want to go, probably just to right here, where this is a little bit smaller than this. There's kind of a rule. I don't know where I heard this rule. I know I heard it somewhere, the rule of thirds, where like if this is 2/3 of the piece, then this should be 1/3, not 1/2. It wouldn't look right, half and half. So I kind of follow that rule about thirds. I don't know if I made up that rule. I'm pretty sure I heard that somewhere. So I know that when you do an arrangement, if you put 3 things, it always looks better than if you just put 2 or 4. Or if you put 5 things, an odd number always kind of works best with the aesthetics of arrangements. Good morning. You're a little crooked. I'm a little crooked. But good morning. Next morning. This is the mess all around me, but that's okay. I stitched it all around, decided what size I wanted, and now I'm folding it inside out and pushing the corners. I have this little tool that I got from Fat Quarter Shop. It's a pushy outy tool. I don't know what the name of it is, but you push your little corners out like that. And you got to be careful. Now normally I would put a layer of batting behind the cross stitch, but this fabric that I have here, I think it's a mystery fabric. It's got to be either 40 count or 36, something like that, and it's very thick. It's very thick. In fact, after I did the bottom part, I stitched 2 threads over 2 for the mouse, and the whole rest of it I stitched 1 thread over 2 because it was super thick. So I'm pretty sure I got a hold of a 36 count. And if it isn't, it's awful close, because you can't, that's where there was 2 stitches over 2, and then the mouse is where there is 1 stitch over 2. 1 stitch over 2? I don't mean 1 stitch over 2, I mean 1 thread over 2. I don't know what I'm saying. So you just sort of manipulate the little corner and get it as close to perfect. Not perfect, but it can't be perfect, and you don't want to make a hole in it. I don't think I'll make a hole in this because the fabric that I used is pretty thick, heavier weight than just a normal cotton fabric. It's thicker. That corner looks pretty good. That corner I'm gonna work on a little bit more. So what I was saying was, normally I would put a layer of batting behind this before I sewed it, but it was so thick I didn't need to. So I'm gonna stuff my little pillow. I like the way it looks. Now remember, I told you I just basted this down, and then I went ahead and sewed it in the seam, but it's still, I'm gonna rip the basting out, and I'm gonna use some fabric glue to glue that down. Hi friends. It's the afternoon. It's about 6 o'clock or so, and I've gotten back from work, and I'm finishing my final Fabulous Fun Friday finishing videos, and I just wanted to show you some things. I had said earlier that I was finishing my O for October. I think it's for November, because I'm not a big Halloween stitcher, and I think the one for October was Halloween-ish, and I don't really stitch a lot of Halloween. I don't stitch any Halloween, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. Don't go crazy. I prefer fall, and so I stitched my last O, stitching with the Housewives wreath, swap home is where the wreath is, and I've showed this on previous videos, how I put some batting here, and I glue it down, and then I glue this on a foam board. So just glue it all the way around, make it as pretty as I can. And I also finished my M, and then I discovered after I looked at my M rather closely because I'm videoing things that, look at that. Can you see anything weird? Yeah. I stitched it in 2 different whites. There is, I don't know if you could tell, but there is a light white and a darker white on here. And you can't tell this time in evening because this is, you know, evening, 6-ish, and the sun's going down. But boy, can you tell in the daytime. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do anything. I mounted it on these 2 boards. I put some plaid that I got at Joann's on the back board and this on the front, and I showed that in my last video how I do it. However, because it was stitched in 2 different whites, I can tell right now, but I'm going to put it up, and wherever I put it up in my house, if I can still tell, then what I'm going to do is a little dangerous, but you don't, this is a lot of stitches, okay, y'all? This is a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait and see if it matters. And then if it does, I'm going to go back. I'm going to take all my letters, and I'm going to take a brush, dip it in tea, and tea dye the white. It won't make a difference on the black. I know it's dangerous, but I would rather do that than stitch all that again. So if I can make all my white look the same on this one, then I'll go and do that same tea with a brush, like a little tiny paintbrush. Dip it in tea and put it on all my letters so that they all look a little the same kind of color. I'm going to try that. I know, but I do not want to stitch this again. This took forever. So we'll see. And you know, sometimes you make mistakes and you got to correct them, and I'll correct it somehow. And if the tea dye doesn't work, I'll stitch it again, and it'll be a little while before I do because I'm mad at myself. Okay. So the last thing I did, stuff my little mouse. I stuffed my little mouse. I have not sewn her yet, and what I've decided is she needs more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of the little pom-pom edging, and I'm going to put that all around her. And I think she'll look better like that. And I'll show you when I'm either going to do black or white. Excuse me, probably white, but we'll see. And I'll let you see that on my next Fun Fabulous Friday finishes, because this is like I like it. I may add to it or take away. I kind of have to look at things for a little while to see if I want to add more or take away. So we'll see, and that's kind of how you do it. And then I'm also finishing this right here, and I'll post the name above, Candy Corn and Pumpkin. And I am going to put that on this background, this board. So I'm going to cover this whiteboard in this, and I'm going to put this whiteboard on top of this. I got this at a place called Ollie's for $2.50. Ollie's is a store kind of like the dollar store, only bigger, like a, I don't know, like a Walmart, only different, smaller. So I got this there. I'm going to spray paint. Even though I love this, I got like 3 of these because they were $2.50 each. So I'm going to spray paint this whole thing, take this off, and I'm going to mount this in the middle and then put this on another board on top of this. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then I'll show you that finish next time, because what I have found is on my Fabulous Fun Friday finishes, I try and finish 3 things, and I've never been able to finish 3 things. I've only been able to finish 2. So that's what's coming next Friday. Is I'm going to mount those 2 things I just showed you, spray paint this, and that'll be next week. Take this thing off and use it for something else. So happy finishing, everyone, and wish me luck on my changing my white where I used the wrong white. You got to be careful, because see, I stitched that in the evenings. And that's what did it. When you stitch in the evenings, the light's not very good. You can't tell your whites apart. And I should have known that, because I at one point corrected myself in it and redid some areas. And then, you know, months went by, and you know how it goes. So sometimes Fabulous Fun Fridays turn into freak out Fabulous Fun Fridays, and that's okay. We'll fix it. So I'm so glad you joined me please join me for Fabulous Fun Friday finishes every 2 weeks. And I also have another YouTube channel, my floss tube channel, which I try and do every 2 weeks. And that's Kathy Ratliff at Kathy's Corner. That's it's all at the same place. I also do some quilting videos and gardening videos, and I just would love it if you join me. Please like and subscribe, and let me know if you like what I'm doing. Let me know if you have any Fabulous Fun Friday finishes or Fabulous Fun finishes that you'd like to share. That'd be great. You can post them below. If you're a fellow floss tuber, I don't mind at all if you advertise yourself below here on the comments. Please tell me if you're a floss tuber and let people in on what you do. That doesn't bother me at all, because promoting oneself is a difficult thing, especially when maybe sometimes you feel like you shouldn't or you can't. I would love for this to be a place where all floss tubers and YouTubers who do something similar, not the YouTubers who do weird things, okay? You weirdos, stay away. You know who you are. But I would love for you to advertise yourself here. That's, we're trying to help each other connect. So have a Fabulous Fun Friday, and next time I'll have this finished done on this, and we'll see ya. Have a great day, a great week, and a great life. Bye-bye. God bless.